Welcome to this interactive segment where it's perspective, and mostly we deal with the state of the nation. Today we deal with state of Nairobi. You must be a guest here in Nairobi because if you don't know that in January next year we'll be celebrating or commemorating 2 years of living without a deputy governor. What am I talking about? Mike Mbuvi Sonko Kioko, who today who is the Nairobi County Governor, was arraigned in court and charged with several counts of abuse of office and corruption. Now, remember, we don't have a deputy governor. So what happens? And to help us in this discussion is our resident analyst, Job Ndege. Karibu sana, Job.
Asante sana, Ben.
A dicey situation we are finding ourselves here, but analysts have said that it's not cause for alarm. Really?
No, it's dicey, yes. It's unprecedented. One, because we don't have a deputy governor. And should there be a case, maybe come Wednesday when Governor Sonko's bail application ruling will take place,
yes,
should there be a case where the magistrate decides that just like with the other two governors who are charged,
yes,
to use Justice Mumbi Ngugi's prescription,
yes,
then we'll be in trouble. We're in trouble in the sense that Justice Mumbi Ngugi's prescription assumes that there is a deputy governor, and such that if the governor were to be morally ill, that's really how she wrote her judgment, then the deputy will take over till the time that the governor becomes morally well. So Nairobi doesn't have a deputy governor.
Yes. So
that will not strictly apply. Then what happens? You look at Article 182 of our Constitution.
Yes.
It seems to talk about what happens in the vacancy of the governor, and what happens in the vacancy of a governor and a deputy governor. And then you check that with Justice Mumbi Ngugi's ruling,
yes,
and you find out that the governor is not really, there's no vacancy really, even if the magistrate were to apply that ruling. But the governor is away.
Yes.
He's incapable of handling his or her duties as prescribed in the Constitution, but he is still the governor.
Yes.
Now that's where the complication comes in. So in that case, two options. One is the president may invoke Article 192, where not the president really invoking it,
yes,
but some people or some persons may move and urge the president to invoke Article 192, where it states that if there are some special circumstances,
yes,
and this could be one special one, then the president may, because of a recommendation from some persons, try to actually suspend the county government, the executive of Nairobi. That's one option.
Okay.
The other option is that someone, in this case probably the state law office, the AG, or someone within the county of Nairobi, probably the speaker or the leadership of the assembly, may move to the Supreme Court and seek interpretation from the Supreme Court of what happens in the circumstances where you don't have both a governor and a deputy governor exercising authority, yes, of the executive. And then some way will be found. So either of those two cases, there will be a way forward.
Perhaps a knee-jerk reaction, we saw the Council of Governors coming out and talking about they want a sitting with the president. They didn't divulge, they were very cagey with details,
yes,
but they wanted to speak with the president about the situation in Nairobi.
Yes, but you heard the chairman, Governor Oparanya, say, yes, that these are unique circumstances. So it could fall under those special circumstances that the Constitution in Article 192 was talking about. But I wonder what else they'll do other than saying that this is special, and then maybe, because there's a body actually, the Council of Governors and the presidency, they have a body, which is an intergovernmental relations body, which discusses issues that pertain between the local, which is the county government and the national government. So in that context, we can say, yes, they may have a meeting and talk about it, but nothing much will come out of that, other than either Article 192 or the Supreme Court deciding that on somebody's application on what happens. And by the way,
yes,
the governor himself also has a few days to act.
Yes,
nothing
yes,
stops the governor
from
actually appointing a deputy governor between now and the day of the bail ruling. Or if nothing happens to him on Wednesday, then life goes on.
Actually, I wanted to ask what TV decided before.
Yes.
marshaled out of office
Yes.
if I decide to elect a deputy governor.
Yes, that will be perfect in order.
Okay.
He'll make his application, and then the county assembly will consider it. Yes.
Still on the Council of Governors, I remember in 2018 when Sospita Ojamong, the governor,
Yes.
was arraigned, the Council of Governors came strongly, and the exact word is that devolution is facing challenges.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes, I remember that.
Why is it that now they are all of a sudden they are quiet?
No, because things have moved on.
Yes.
I think they realize that the resolve in which the country has in dealing with the corruption, abuse of office, is such that no one needs to get spared. There's no one special. Remember, even that time, they also worried about how he was arrested and all those things. Why you shouldn't arrest a governor and the rest of that stuff. But people have moved on. I think the mood in the country is that no one's really above the law. Yeah, in fact, only one person is above the law while he or she's serving office, the president. The rest of us, you can be arrested any moment as long as there is a charge against you. So the governor is not special.
And it seems the president is putting a very strong fist when it comes to corruption, because yesterday in church he talked about when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, you should be ready to face the music.
And he said it's you only, not your family, not your tribe, not your region. It's you, and you face the music. And I like that. You remember we just came off an anti-corruption conference sometimes this year.
Yes.
And there are very lofty resolutions and very tough ones. I also remember that we waste at least 300 billion shillings if you do corruption.
Yes.
If I were the president, that means one SGR every 1 year. If you can save only that 300 billion shillings that it's estimated to be lost in corruption, we can be doing one SGR every year.
Wow.
Yes. So
that's a lot of money.
How many children can we educate? What will happen to our hospitals?
Yes.
We have
big
now
four agenda.
Exactly. We are borrowing so much money.
Yes.
Why we need to borrow? So this corruption thing, actually, if we were serious, and at some point, even in fact, analysts like myself and others are saying that this should actually be the president's only agenda. Yes. If the president were just to fight corruption and plug that 300 billion, the rest will follow. We'll be okay. We'll have enough money. No one will be fighting for money. No one will be fighting for all this. No one will be.
But
angry.
after
We
all
will be
this
good.
arrest, we are not seeing people still deciding that I'm not going to put my hands where it's not supposed to be.
That time, we have been in a quagmire.
Yes.
If you look at the Katiba, the chapter 6 was very clear what should happen to people in leadership.
Yes.
Like the governors and so, the people called state officers. But unfortunately, we left it to Parliament to pass a legislation to actually affect that chapter of the Katiba. Parliament, of course, were not going to do that because it was going to affect them. So Justice Mubingugi is actually moving around and trying to effect it through the justice system, which is innovative but still not fully. Yeah, we need to move as per what the people said about leadership.
Yes.
In fact, if that chapter was active,
Chapter 6, yes.
if it was really active, we won't ever be needing most of these court cases. People will just be resigning left, right, and center. Yeah, it will be as simple as that. You probe yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you judge yourself against chapter 6, and you find almost no one in our current state leadership will actually qualify. It's a very serious chapter, and we as Kenyans actually enacted it.
Yes.
So we either live to it, or we decide it's too high for us, and we just do away with it. Yeah, there are no two ways about it. And I hope that in the new process, when the BBI finally gets done in the coming year, I hope that affecting chapter 6 becomes something that Kenyans who will be giving their views talk about. That chapter is very powerful.
Now that you've talked about the BBI report, some section of the media are talking about Nairobi has not really been talked about more when it comes to the governor and the leadership of Nairobi in the BBI.
That's not really true.
Yes.
But the BBI actually mentioned Nairobi to be a special status. And by the way, it's interesting that it's not really a special because even currently in our current constitution, there is an article 184 talks about how urban areas and cities need to be looked at specially. So in our Katiba, we had actually envisioned the special circumstances of cities and urban areas. Yes, and in fact, the assemblies, the legislature actually went on and did an urban cities Urban Areas and Cities Act,
Yes,
which
yes.
defines what should happen. Yeah. So whereas they did that, so you're supposed to have a city board in Nairobi. Yeah, we don't have it.
Okay.
You're supposed to have city boards in some of these many cities. I think there's probably one in Kisumu. I don't know if the Mombasa ever had it. Yeah. So all these are supposed to help disperse power.
Yes.
Other than dispersing it, make it more effective. Because Nairobi is so big. Imagine how you are running Nairobi. You require all the help. So there's supposed to be a city board here. There's supposed to be that cooperation between the government, national government, and the county government, which happened. You remember that regeneration task force where CS Najib and Governor Sonko chairing it, and then Waita was the special purpose person doing that. So they're supposed to all these things in action. Okay. But because there's no city board, because still even that act of the urban areas and cities, still executive authority was left to the county executive and the governor. So that's one thing which I think the BBI now wants to fix.
Still on the deputy governor. Yes. Is there a law that can compel the situation we have now, can compel the current governor to elect a deputy governor? Is there a law?
Yes, the Supreme Court spoke to it. There's really no law at the moment. The Supreme Court spoke to it, and they actually advised that within a few days after a vacancy in that office should be there. So Governor Sonko actually just refused to listen. Okay,
let's bring in Beatrice Elachi into the equation.
Yes.
Some have talked about now the speaker will be mandated for around 60 days.
Yes.
Give us that scenario.
That scenario only occurs when now we have reached the dead end. Some election will take place, in my interpretation.
Yes.
Yeah, there could be others. So in that case, then somebody has to run the affairs of the county as we wait for the new administration. In fact, that scenario, typically the executive is actually also suspended. Yes.
Nairobi is one of the most powerful, let's say, cities in East and Central Africa, where business, economy, what happens to the international market? Of course, we know now a lot of things will kind of stagnate as the situation is.
In fact, if the situation remains this way, there will be no services here because the seal of governor is very important even to do some of these financial matters that get transacted in the assembly. So we must get a solution, I'm sure. And I'm sure that's something that the national government, the president and his team, his legal advisor, Attorney General, we'll be thinking about. There will be a solution. I'm sure we won't let it go beyond the time which will bring people to suffer. So in the interim, there'll be a bit of crisis, people will be talking about it, but in the background, I'm sure some serious legal minds are talking with the president. Some other serious concerned citizens are probably ready to move to the Supreme Court. A solution will come.
Indeed. Yes. Back to Speaker Beatrice Elachi. What powers can she hold when she's on the foot of the...
Very minimal. That's why I say very, very minimal.
Okay.
And she'll be holding power because power abhors a vacuum. Yeah. So at the moment when Elachi comes in, as per Article 182, the moment when she comes in, she'll be coming in because now there's no executive. Yes, and things must move. Yes, so at the point where she comes in when there's no executive, either the executive has been suspended or some vacancy has occurred on both the governor and the deputy governor, in which case now she has to take over in interim basis as we go for an election. So if any point we see Elachi in this post, they know that we're heading for an election, as per the plain reading of the Constitution.
Back to Mombi Ngoge's ruling last year when she talked about when you are holding public office and you're implicated in graft, you have to step aside and you're not going back to the office until the case is finalized. Does this bring some sanity when it comes to holding of public offices and especially a big office like the Nairobi governor seat?
It does. In fact, the current scenario is that these guys want their cases to run very fast. You know, before what used to happen, you get charged as a powerful state officer. Then you drag all your big lawyers into court and ensure that this case takes 10 years to end. Now they wish this case takes a week. Yeah, so they are really running to make the cases get over quick so they can get back their seats. So these are shaken the fabric of how we do leadership. And I really doubt that. And I know there is an appeal that has happened on this judgment all the way. I really hope those people in the
Court
Court of Appeal
Yes.
uphold it and even make it even more stringent.
Yes.
That's the truth. They should even make it tougher.
Yes.
Because our elected leaders have refused to really enact a proper legislation for Chapter 6, and we need it.
And the
so corruption
yes.
should be difficult.
Very difficult. Because
if you don't stand to the moral probity of what the Constitution says, you should just step aside. Leave it to someone else who can do.
Indeed.
It's not a must that I or you must be a leader.
Yes.
Yeah, there are people who are ready to do it.
International community is watching this situation very carefully. Even
Yes.
the international media is really monitoring the situation.
Yes.
Can this situation really be detrimental for Nairobi because of the businesses? You've seen we are hosting conferences here.
In fact, this is a UN city.
Here in
Nairobi is a very serious. That's why I'm sure that the president will not let it slide. No, it will be sorted for sure. We have the UN here. We have big businesses here. Nairobi contributes probably 60% of the GDP of this country. No one can let Nairobi go to the dogs. And there are legal instruments that I'm sure will be affected to sort this.
The situation, of course, Beatrice Elachi watching it very carefully. When will it take? You talked about 60 days.
Yes.
Remember, the case will continue perhaps for even a year, because
Yes.
we remember the cases from Busia, and we have seen Moses Lenunkula. We are talking about cases that were happening either earlier this year or even last year.
Yes.
If it drags on,
Yes.
how long is it supposed to drag on without a deputy governor? Because the cases, really, they take a lot of time.
That's why I say it's a quagmire, because you know, the government is not really, there's not really vacancy. You know, the trick is that there's no vacancy as such in the governor's position. There is a vacancy in the deputy governor's position.
Yes.
Yes, but not the governor's. Elachi's action comes in when there is both a vacancy in the governor's and the deputy governor's position, which is not the case. It's not the case now. So it's tricky.
Yes.
It's not really the case. So if she has to move in, some legal or constitutional process will have already determined that actually the governor's position is vacant. Yes, at that point is when our Elachi will have a full constitutional right of taking charge for 60 days pending an election.
So in the next couple of days or weeks, we are supposed to be seeing a lot of action.
There will be a lot
in
of
regard
action.
to the same.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we are out of time, but just 30 seconds. What can Nairobians expect? Or because, you know, they don't know where they stand at the moment.
No, Nairobians, I think we are worried, rightfully, but I think given the status of Nairobi, we should be confident enough with the national government. Yeah. Should be confident enough with the instruments that we have, the courts. And if this matter reaches the Supreme Court, I'm sure the judges will be able to sit very quickly and do something. It will not be some of those things where they take a year to sit and give an opinion. They'll be forced to sit probably every day till they give us a good judgment as to how we move forward.
All right. Thank you indeed so much, Mr. Ndege. I've been speaking to our resident analyst and Job Ndege, who has been giving us an insight on the state of Nairobi, bearing in mind that Governor Sonko has been charged in a court of law, and of course his bail application and ruling. Bail application was today. The ruling will be on Wednesday. We'll be monitoring the situation, especially now that we don't have a deputy governor here in the county of Nairobi for almost 2 years now. Indeed, thank you so much for watching Perspective. I'm Ben Troy. Enjoy. Back to business.